Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD podcast. Always pumped to be in your ears. Grateful that you are a listener and sharer and reviewer. And today I was thinking about a number of the questions that I've seen in the EntreMD Facebook group. And a lot of it has to do, it's around how do I attract more clients? How do I get more clients? And, first, and there are different ways this happens, right? And I figured I'd come on here and, just create a whole episode about that. Now, as far as wanting new clients, that could look different for different people. You may have started a new practice, as a clinician or as a coach, and you're like, I need new clients for that. There may have been some changes in your market, and because of that, you need more clients. And so that could look like, maybe, like me, you're a pediatrician and it's the summer. And in summer, of course, people are going on vacation. They're not necessarily looking to come in the pediatrician's office, and the schools are closed. So nobody's telling them your child has a fever, go to the pediatrician's office. And so with those two forces at play, it becomes a little harder to fill up your schedule. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be done. It just needs to be very intentional, right? Like you need to know that's happening and then you need to know how to respond to it. It could look like a regular practice and, you had another really well-established practice where the hospital comes and sets up shop right by you, right? And so there's some other things that need to go into play. It could look, different from that. Maybe you're a coach and you have a bunch of clients who are coming up on their completion. And so now you're like, oops, I'm going to have this little hole here if I don't intentionally do something about it. Or you hired a new team member, whether that's another coach or that's another physician or, whatever kind of practice you have. And it's like, man, I need to get this person's base, full so that I don't have to pass out when I look at this payroll expense, right? Which we talk about in the EntreMD world of how to make that an investment, right? Not an expense. And so there's so many ways this can happen where you find yourself, this is not a newbie thing, right? Or you build a new vertical and you need to create the base for that. So there's so many ways this can come up. The important thing is to realize that we don't roll over and play dead. We don't say what will be, will be. We don't not respond at all, right? We can always respond to these kind of situations. And even if, hopefully in our lifetimes, we don't ever see this again, but even in the midst of a pandemic, right? Pandemic, you're like, okay, it's changed. It's a big change, but you need to respond to that, right? Like, again, we can't roll over and play dead. Okay, so what are some of the things that we can do? Okay, and I want to give you 5 things here. The first thing is you want to really be somewhat obsessive, like healthy obsession, but obsessive about getting your people results. And you might be like, yeah, what does that have to do with getting more, getting more clients? Well, the thing is this, right? Your people getting results is like it's your biggest social proof. It is the thing that would make them refer you to others. It is what will make them continue to work with you. It is kind of like that foundation piece, right? And so you want to do what you can to get your people results. Now, I do understand that, in fact, let me even put it this way. Please don't take on the Messiah complex, right? Because getting people results requires a partnership. It took me a while to learn this, but it requires a partnership. It requires somebody who is committed to their goals. And it requires, like a business owner who is also committed to supporting the people to get the goals they're committed to getting, right? If that commitment piece is not there, there is a critical missing piece, and it's going to be almost impossible for you to get people results, right? And so there is a marriage there of sorts, but you want to make sure on your side you're doing everything possible to help your people get results within the context of your business. So the more results, the better that is. And I even want to say this because, I know a lot of you listening, you have private practices, and sometimes a result doesn't mean you cure all their illnesses, right? Because again, that's a Messiah complex, right? You can't do that. But do they have availability to care? So they have access to care. Do they know that they're with somebody who is taking the time to help them solve this thing? Someone who can send them to the appropriate referrals and all of those kind of things. Like, you're doing your piece. That is the result. The result is not that you cured them, especially if you're in a field where, you can't guarantee that. I mean, like, you can't guarantee that, period, right? So the result is that they're adequately taken care of. They got the best possible care, and you gave them the best possible support for them to get what they needed, right? So I want you to think of it in those terms. So you want to think about, what is the result that I'm owning that I give my clients, right? You're a coach. What is the results that you're owning, right? And so own that and help your people get that, right? So that's the first part. And I mentioned that because it's so foundational. Okay. Now, a lot of the things we're going to talk about today will have nothing to do with getting new clients, the harder way, which is to get new clients who don't know you at all and stuff like that. We're going to work with the base that you already have. Okay. All right. So first is getting them results. The second thing is really asking them for referrals. Okay. This is such low hanging fruit. Like, it's so low. Think about the clients you've worked with. They know, like, and trust you. They are amazed at the results you've helped them create. They're grateful. They are you've put them in this reciprocity bucket because you've done so much. And a lot of times what you've done is more than they've even paid you for, right? And when you think about it that way, they want to give back. Do you see what I'm saying? They want to give back, but a lot of times you have to ask. Like, it's not their job to figure out how to give back. Their job is to get in the heart posture to want to do that. And then it's our job to then say, this is how you can do that. Right. And so asking for referrals, it is something that is a muscle that you can build. It may seem uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more of a default it will be, and the better it will be for your business. It will better be for your clients because they can give back and all of those things. So ask for referrals. Okay. And it's not just randomly. You want to be able to do it in a way that is systematic. So for instance, if you have someone says, and this is a simple one, this is the one I used when I started building this muscle. If every time you have a client tell you, oh my goodness, you are the absolute best. You changed my life. You saved my life and all of that stuff, savor the moment. But then that is also a great time to say, I am so grateful that we could do this for you. And really, we want to be able to do more of this for people just like you. Do you have a friend that you can introduce me to that you think this will be perfect for? Right? And so you want to start learning to do, not even learning to do, I told you how to do it, right? You want to start practicing that and putting yourself in a position where people can refer because you just have this system of doing that, right? Again, that goes back to why our results are important. So number one, results. Number two is referrals, asking for referrals. Number three is asking for renewals, right? So somebody has worked with you and then you're asking them to continue to work with you. Okay. So if you are in private practice, the way that looks is somebody comes for an appointment and you're asking them to schedule that next appointment. It's such a simple thing, but it is something that as you do that, it just sets this thing in motion where you continue to have repeat business, which is the same as having new clients, right? Like, so why give that up and keep looking for new people on the outside when you have, 300, 400 people who you can have scheduled an appointment right now, right? Where every day when you see the 20 people or how many ever people you see, that could create new appointments. If you're in the coach world, then somebody signs up to work with you for 3 months or 6 months or a year. And then you're giving them the opportunity to work with you for another 3 months or 6 months or a year. Again, goes back to why your results are really, really, really important. Okay. And I will say that at that point, you do want to remind them about their results because the undisciplined mind is just terrible because a lot of times people forget. People forget the wins they've gotten. People even convince themselves, like, I don't know if this was worth my time, is the most fascinating thing to watch. And so you almost have to remind them, like, this is what you said though, right? And so I'm so grateful that we were able to get you this, and we can still go forward. Like, there's still so much to do. We haven't arrived, right? How about another 3 months? Okay. So that's the third thing, is asking for renewals. And the fourth thing is asking, past clients to work with you again. Okay. And so these may be people you worked with 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and all of those things, and giving them an opportunity to work with you again. Right. And it's a simple ask. It's an ask that most times people don't do. But at the end of the day, if you have 100 people you've worked with before and you reach out and you're like, hey, this is what we have going on, come work with us and things like that. And you have 5 people that decide to work with you, or 10 people, that's 5 or 10 people you didn't have, right? Again, this is something worth building a system around. So as a coach, that's a little easier. You track those numbers. As someone in private practice, one of the easiest ways to do that is just make sure that you maintain your email list. And so a lot of times people may, move on and things like that, but they're still on your email list, especially if you're providing value. And you're like, hey, schedule an appointment, right? And you'll be surprised people come back. It happens all the time, right? Okay. Number 5, again, is something that is not as direct, but it really, really works. And I'll tell you I'll give you a little story here to put it in perspective. I remember going to the airport. I forgot what airport it was. And, I love books. So I walked into a bookstore and I'm looking at all the books, and I would look at the book and I'll open it on Amazon. And the reason why I opened it on Amazon is because I wanted to see the reviews, right? So I open it on Amazon. I'm looking at the reviews. And so I'll see the review. I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to get that one. And I mean, it was even so bad that a lot of the books were much cheaper, of course, on Amazon than they were in the airport. But I was like, man, I've stayed in this bookshop for so long. I've looked at all their stuff and, it doesn't make sense for me to buy all of them from Amazon. So I think I kind of split it and did half and half. I bought half from Amazon and half from the bookstore, right? Because I'm like, their overhead must be really high. And it would be great if, they can get some money out of me, and so it wasn't so much the money. I wasn't going to Amazon to save. I was going to Amazon for social proof, right? That's why I was going there. And so the fifth thing is really getting into this habit of asking your clients and asking your patients for reviews. And it's so important because people will hear what you have to say, but they really want to know what people who worked with you are saying. That's just the way that it is. People look for social proof. If you think about your behaviors as well, a lot of times you'll see a restaurant, you'll see all the things on their website. Like, that's amazing. You go in a Facebook group and say, hey, has anybody been here? There's a reason you do that. Or you go to Google, look at the reviews, or go to Yelp and look at the reviews and stuff like that. So you want to gather those because it makes it easier. It supports everything else you do for marketing, and it makes it easier for people to say yes. Right? So when you think about 5 ways to really multiply, the clients that you're having, these are things that are not so obvious. A lot of times are not happening in a systematic way. A lot of times they're not happening at all because it's easy to just focus on bringing new people who don't know about you at all from the outside. But these are things you can do leveraging the clients that you already have. So get them results ask for referrals, ask for renewals, ask former clients to work with you, and ask for reviews. Okay. Now, the thing about this is that 4 of them have to do with asking. Asking is something that for most people is somewhat uncomfortable. But again, it is a muscle. We have done a challenge in the EntreMD Business School that we call the Askathon. And all month long, people were asking and asking and asking. And it was really refreshing to see by the time we got to the middle of the month, people start saying, well, I'm getting good at this asking thing. I'm not afraid of asking anymore. I just ask everybody. The worst they can say is no, but they haven't said yes. I have nothing to lose, right? Someone even said, I can either be afraid of the no, or I can ask 20 times, get no's, but still get 2 yeses. And it's a muscle that can be built. If it feels uncomfortable, if you even think about this and you're like, oh my goodness, doctor, and I just want to do Facebook ads and not do any of this stuff, just realize that it's uncomfortable for everybody until you build that muscle. And you can only build that muscle by doing. So ask away. And I would love to see you multiply, right? Here, we're not talking about addition. We're talking about multiplying the number of clients that you have. So you're going to get them results. You're going to ask for referrals. You're going to ask for renewals. You're going to ask for former clients to work with you, and you're going to ask for reviews. And it's going to absolutely change your business. Okay. So think about the client base you have. Think about it being 2 times bigger, 5 times bigger, 10 times bigger, because you got really good at asking. And if you have a team, that's the other thing. We talk a lot about this in the EntreMD Business School as well, that your team literally exists to help you do what you need to do. And so think about having a team of 5, a team of 10, and they also know how to ask, right? And so you just have this askathon going on between you and your team, and you're just creating a really healthy business, because that way, if something happens and, like you do ads and your ads don't work, you have this robust engine that's working. If you had this month where things were weird and you were not getting new business from the outside, you have this robust engine that is growing, right? And things like that. So it's security, because it's another stream, if you will, of new clients. And also it really just puts you in a place where you are able to acquire clients in the most profitable way, because these are people who already know, like and trust you. So the cost of acquisition is really, really so much lower, right? So embrace these. I can't wait to see what your business will look like as you do it. Be sure to share it with me. You can always send me a DM. Let me know, like, oh my goodness, Dr. Una, you won't believe what I just created in my business. And I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD Podcast. Hey, if you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to entremd.com/on demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.